I feel
No,
like
heavy armor two-handed every time.
not two-handed, but I agree. Heavy armor, one-handed, and then spellcasting.
Heavy armor conjurer.
Yeah, well, yeah, conjure something.
Yeah.
I rotate between like conjuration, restoration, and destruction. But hello and welcome. We are Appalachian Dragons. This is where me and my favorite backwoods bastards get together, and we like to play Dungeons and Motherfucking Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Tonight, we are on session 18 of our adventure in Tyranny and Flagons, where we left off last week. The Lords of Nightstone had infiltrated the Maw, the multi-layer prison within the first circle of Hell Avernus. After making their way past the guards of the upper levels, they were able to dominate an Erinyes to make her an ally, binding her to their service, and infiltrate the final level, the pit. They were able to talk their way past the pit fiend guards very narrowly, which might have escalated things sooner than wanted, but successfully were able to navigate past them and be brought to the Everlost. Yuan, the Erinyes, as well as Integrity and Morningstar, stayed outside, while the rest of them were thrust into this winding maze and forced to stumble through and try to find the mysterious portal that would lead all of them from their deliver them from their own fresh hell. Baphomet, of course, the Lord of Beasts, was the primary prisoner of this, and was quite a formidable force charging through the maze, as well as his Goristro ally, many Minotaurs, a Gorgon, and a few other interesting companions. The party had to fight and wind their way through this ever-shifting maze until finally Davos was able to successfully find the portal and bring everyone back into the pit of the maw. This immediately sparked chaos as the prison break, from the guards' perspective, had been successful. They swarmed to try to what's the word I'm looking for? Not rallied. Like oh damn, that's gonna bug me. Oh well. They scurried into action and were able to get a few ice cages over some of the prisoners, and a battle soon broke out. The party was able to successfully fight back many of the fiends, downing quite a few of them, and eventually, between a combination of smites from Arcanox and Davos, were able to down Enmity, uh, and believe presumably to his end. Before long, however, the dragon Rancor emerged and was able to fill the map with an intense cone of flames and submerged Enmity into the magma. This caused his, well, this didn't cause his being brought back, but upon entering his final state and being restored by the heat of the magma, Enmity was able to have a second wind of sorts and began to rally them back. The party decided that the uh, best course of action would be to reorganize and fight another day. And after gathering around Goldbrand, were able to be plane shifted out of Avernus and back to their ship, the Westwind Wyvern, which unfortunately they found to be a heap of flaming wreckage. And that is where we're going to pick up tonight on Tyranny of Lions.
Thank you for that reminder.
And we're back. Uh, as we resume, let me set the scene here a little bit and change up our tunes just a little bit. Friendly reminder to hop into our Spotify. Um, Before you stands the still flaming wreckage of the Westwind Wyvern, seemingly scattered some 100 or so feet across the rocky crag just a few hundred yards from Hellgate Keep. Some sections of the ship are recognizable as fragments of the hull, the crow's nest, or the bow, but much of the structure has been reduced to mere splinters. While it is difficult to ascertain exactly what has happened, you have a feeling that investigating a little closer may prove useful. As a reminder, you do have two allies with you, Morningstar and Integrity. The first of which says, geez, the material plane's really gone downhill while I was gone. What the fuck is this?
A disaster, it looks like.
You got that right.
Used to be my ship. Holy shit. And I think Arcanox would go like try to rummage through the wreckage a little bit.
No, absolutely.
Right.
Why don't you make, in fact, all four of you, we'll skip Devo since he's not here, can make a perception check.
So I'm trying to check to see if I still have my water spell, if I could throw some water at it. So I can still cast Tidal Wave. Is there any possibility of me putting out flames without totally wrecking the ship? Here's my
Do you have anything like a tier down from Tidal Wave?
I don't think so. I'll check. Here's my perception check. I will look. Oh, why didn't you roll?
Yuan might be able to, You're on mute, by the way.
Sorry, I'm muted. I can make some. It's probably not quite enough. I have a free use of create or destroy water, but it only makes like 10 gallons of clean water. I can
I
also
would
make
s-
waterfall as if it was rain within like a 30-foot range to try and extinguish flames.
That will be a good start. I will say that that will dampen most of them, and as you travel through, we'll say that that rain travels with you. Let me check those perception checks.
Would also
Goldbrand,
like to.
did you have
Yeah.
advantage?
Oh no, I didn't realize the first one rolled. My fault.
All right, so I need Pandora, Arc, and Goldbrand. Roll me 2d8, please.
Oh boy, 2d8.
Individually, if you can. Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
I didn't mean to do that, but I'm glad to hear it was fortunate. Also,
No,
I'd
no
like
worries.
to propose mold earth for putting fire out, perhaps.
Yeah, as you guys make your way through the wreckage, you do manage to effectively dampen and extinguish the flames through various means of your own casting. Um, the first thing that you guys are going to notice is that sections of the ship have deep gouges that you recognize as talon marks. Some parts are sliced clean through as if with a bladed weapon, and blood splatters show signs of a struggle. You know that this was an attack, and no mere accident. As we're wandering through, particularly from Arcanox, Pandora, and Goldbrand, what is the primary thing you're looking for?
Survivors mostly, I guess.
I'd have to agree with that. That was my first thought. If we have to pick different things, Goldbrown wants to look for enemy bodies.
Did we have a mask on board for anything? I think we had them all
No.
off ship, though.
Correct, yes. You had one in your possession and one in the demi-plane. You want, is there
Okay.
anything in particular you're looking for as you're wandering through?
I can't see nothing. But obviously, the first thing I'm looking for, I think, would be the only person that I really heavily care about that was on this ship. I'm gonna go see if I can find Tabitha anywhere. I assume she's still in there.
Goldbrand, as you're wandering through, you find a larger section of the hull that seems to have been ground down as the ship crashed along the mountainside. And sticking out from beneath it, you see an arm and a bushy red-orange tuft of hair. You can examine it closer, but you don't quite identify it on sight.
Oh. So I can't guess. Okay.
You can try if you can try to guess if you have an idea in your head who it is.
Not who. It sounds like a fire giant. Goldbrand thinks it's a fire giant.
Much smaller than a fire giant.
Oh.
Even small for a humanoid.
He'll go investigate closer.
I think that as you draw closer, I imagine you almost like lift the ship to get a peek underneath. Once you realize that it doesn't appear to be some larger foe, and you're surprised to see the face of Jesse. This is the dwarven gunner who was a member of the crew. He is not moving and had been pinned under the ship for you're not quite sure how long. As you're investigating this, Arcanox, you see
Goldbrand does
that
verbalize that he's found someone.
we're going to sort of have a couple of scenes simultaneously. You're sort of scattering out among the wreckage, but we're going to come back to that in just a moment. Arcanox, you see that two masts from the ship skewer through a sparse section of trees along the cliffside. Only a small part of the crow's nest remains intact on one of these, and dangling from it you see a flash of bloodied white hair and limp, gray-skinned arms. You recognize this as the figure of Kaya, the former spotter of the Westwind Wyvern, and partner to Gideon. What is a little more alarming as you get a little closer is you see that she has been bisected clean through. Her lower half is missing entirely, and the small remnant of the crow's nest is bathed in blood. Pandora, as you are investigating a different area of the ship, you see that there's a bit of rigging that hangs from a fragmented T of one of the masts. And entangled within it is an unusual shape. You think at first it's a weapon. It's black, not quite shiny as steel, but has an unusual texture to it. You get a little closer and untangle it a bit from the rigging and realize that it's a large black avian foot.
Oh,
You
oh.
Do you know who this is?
I can't remember his name, but yeah, no, that's our crow's nest
Oh,
person.
fucking Harvey. What?
Harvey, yeah,
Harvey,
Harvey
yes.
Birdman.
Oh.
You do realize that this is Harvey, the ship's spotter, and originally a member of your own crew with the 9 lives. This hits a little harder for you because you know that Harvey and Avalon were an item for a time. Why don't you make an investigation check or a perception check?
Oh,
I'm
let
gonna
me
tell
do
you
perception.
the perception DC is going to be much higher, but go ahead. It's difficult to determine exactly what happened. It was not severed. It was, it almost seems, the wound is not a clean wound. It's a very unique pattern. You're not quite able to identify it off the top of your head. Josh, you do find one thing. As you're of the lower section of the ridge, more toward the valley, perhaps with the mindset that survivors may have went down for cover to be less noticeable. As you're examining this, you find a heap of shattered planks and boards that are surrounded by ruined food stores. You spot a bit of fabric caught beneath, and you shift a section of flooring to see the ship's medic, the Dragonborn Akira. What might be disturbing to some is that the position she's in was not one to protect herself from the fall, but rather she has protectively thrown her body over her wife, Kava, the victim of the Book of Vile Darkness. Neither of the bodies stir. Goldbrand, as we come back to you, why do you keep playing? Oh, because it's not loot. My apologies. Goldbrand, as we come back to you, make a perception or investigation check.
Nat 20.
Ooh.
Very nice. You notice, before moving any closer, that this man is breathing. He is wounded, grievously so, but he's not dead yet.
I will sling a healing word, because then I don't have to get close enough to him for any potential traps.
You whisper the word in Bolthy that revitalizes some of his spirit. And you watch as a few of the larger gashes don't mend closed entirely, but just seal up enough to where they stop the bleeding.
No longer bleed now.
Yeah, you watch the blood coagulate rather than fully heal the wound.
Can you hear
You
me?
didn't.
Yeah, he's don't want to walk closer.
No, yeah. As you say that, you do hear a ragged cough as he sort of pulls himself up the hillside a little bit to come into a seating position. And he'll say, "Fucking hell! Thank you. I didn't know exactly what was going to become of me. I was trapped under there and tried to dig my way out, but I passed out before I could."
How long were you digging, do you think?
It was, a few minutes, 5, maybe 10, before I passed out. He watches. He takes a bottle. He reaches into his pouch at his side and pulls out the broken glass of a whiskey bottle. Fuck! And he throws it and shatters the remaining glass on the wall. He goes,
O'Brien tosses him his skin, his horn, whatever has been in the past. I guess it's a horn.
He
But it's
takes
full
a
of
hearty
moonshine.
swig. He takes a hearty swig, and with his dwarven constitution, doesn't gawk at the moonshine, but you watch his eyes widen a bit as it had a little more kick than he was expecting.
Do you remember what happened?
Oh, of course I remember what fucking happened. We were bloody attacked. Goddamn fucking the dragon fucker who caught us on the way to get the mask, the black one.
Oh, what's his name, Mark?
Like an herborist.
Yeah, Herborist. Thank you. Okay.
As you say it, he'll go, yeah, that fucker. He dropped out of the skies with a dragon-like knight, and it blasted the ship. We tried to rally against it, firing cannons, but he was joined by another. A weird one, a dragon unlike any I've ever seen. On the back of it was this twat in fucking blue scale armor. They were battling up top. I was trying my best to keep the cannons going, blast the dragons out of the sky, but at some point we started tree falling. When we landed, I think I broke my arm. But I know... I can't say about the others, but I do know about Harvey. He was in the skies and I saw him blasted out by a plume of the acid from the Black One's dragon. I don't think he made it. I can't say for sure about the others.
Skullbrand believe him?
You can make an insight check.
22.
I said I would roll every time. What do you do? GM roll. Yeah, you gather he is rather shaken. This appeared to have happened very quickly, and he wasn't able to get as much information as even he would like, but it seems like he was trapped below deck. Not trapped, but working below deck the entire time, so he does not know as many details as somebody who might be found up top.
He says he doesn't know about the others, which implies he didn't hear anything. Can you walks?
He goes, I think so. My arm's pretty fucked up, but my legs are fine.
I think we can fix that.
And you'll see Integrity will come over and he'll take a bit of the boards and begin to break off a splint and try to patch him up to where he can at least be mobile. We're going to shift away from that and back to Argonox. So let me see. Actually, Pandora. Pandora, you find a bit of chain that you realize is the anchor, and you follow it and see that it became lodged into the cliff during the crash. A section of it seems to loop unnaturally, and it catches your eye. And as you walk up, you soon find an obsidian hand axe caught between two of the links, almost as if somebody had tried to stop it from falling. You have been around him enough to recognize that this is Gideon's. Make a perception check.
Maybe having internet troubles. There she goes.
Oh, I didn't see she dropped.
Well, she said in chat that she thinks that.
Oh yeah, it must have just happened. Yeah, I
no.
switched over to my cellular data.
I gotcha. I get one.
Yeah.
Thing. I can pull her up real quick.
I restart some shit.
What did you?
To the modem.
Yeah, 22. She takes a look at the handle of the axe and very much gathers this was not abandoned. It was placed here specifically. Not necessarily in this spot in the world, but within the chains specifically. With the information she has now, she's not quite sure why. But she proceeds to look around. Argonox.
You already reset it? Oh, okay.
Oh, we hear you now. Oh, for their bends, I see.
Bends, yeah.
Yeah, she's walking up on me.
Argonox. You see a chunk of the walls and ceiling that was once the captain's quarters. And it's really only
Sure.
recognizable from the curved, shattered wood above it that was once the ship's wheel. You see burned bits of parchment and ruined bits of your furniture littering the area. And caught beneath the remnants of the captain's desk is a ropey red scaled forearm. You recognize the tattoos of this almost instantly, as you put a few of these on here. This is Vulcan's arm. You see it is shredded right before where the elbow would be, indicating a powerful rip caused the skin and muscle fibers to tear loose. You give a look around, but you do not see any sign of the rest of Vulcan. Josh. Josh, you follow the 100-foot rut that the keel carved into the mountainside, finding where the ship first touched down. Among the shattered pines that once grew here, you find a bloodied breastplate. You don't recognize this initially, but after some pontification, you recall that there was another gunner on the ship, an elven paladin by the name of Khaled. This was his, and it seems to have been punctured by what appears to have been superheated metal. The edges of the puncture are melted, and it seems to run and cut through the shoulder. While you see plenty of blood, you do not see any other sign of Khaled. And I think, lastly, give me 1 second. Archinox. Above the main crash site, there is a small ridge that juts out from the cliffside, and a silver gleam catches your eye. As you approach, you recognize it as the ship's figurehead, the gleaming silver wyvern that also acts as a draconic horn of sorts. But something isn't quite right about it, the perspective of it. It seems misshapen almost. And as you climb higher up the ridge, I don't know why it keeps doing this. As you climb higher up the ridge, you soon see that the head is covered in blood, and the wings are too large. You see that the head had been dipped in blood as if to make it appear a brilliant crimson. And its wings, the metallic ones, have been misshapen into 4 heads that surround it. And the wings that you see behind it are not part of the statue at all, but rather a pair of platinum wings that have been pinned to the rock.
Boo.
This figurehead has been mangled and twisted to form a profane altar to Tiamat. And this, this took time. This wasn't a quick attack or a smash and grab. This was a message, a warning. And as you see it, you can't help but feel your blood boil. You all gather around this profane altar. What do you do next? Decision.
Pete?
That's
I'd
the
say
only
like
one looking
Argonax is in
fucked
kind
up,
of yeah, he's kind of in a state of disbelief a little bit. Like, what the fuck? I think in the realization that yet another one of my ships has been fucking decimated by some asshole, I'm gonna like just rage and just fucking crash the fucking thing.
Archinox, perhaps infuriated by the loss of his ship, the loss of his crew, the manipulation of what was his property into an altar of the enemy, burns and cuts and smashes and tears and just decimates this altar. As you do, Yuan, you hear a voice come into your head that says, I really hope that's you. That's
Who?
all she says.
What? Do I recognize it?
You do. This is Tabitha's voice. Shaky, unsteady, but definitely recognizable.
If I thought it was a message, I would at least try to respond, assuming that it was. And
Oh, you most certainly may, yes.
Explain. We're near the wreckage. Where are you?
A couple of miles down the ridge. I tried to teleport us off the ship. I got a few of us. Unfortunately, we were a little off course. We saw the flames and figured that something else had happened. We're on our way. Before long, Jesse and Integrity and Morningstar gather with you, and soon you see a few survivors wandering down from the hills. You see that Tabitha leans heavily on Gideon, her one hand holding a bloodied wound at her side, while Gideon has a broad gash just above his eye that seems to have swollen it shut. Penelope limps along using her staff as a walking stick and bracing herself onto Jean's arm, which bears more than a few cuts. You also see a disheartened Vulcan holding a blood-soaked bandage across his left arm, which ends just after the elbow. As they approach,
I was gonna say, like, hey, I think I came across that if you're looking for it.
I imagine you very cavalierly throw him his forearm, and he catches it with his one good arm. He wags it at you like, thanks, I think. Tajin will say, I'm sorry, Captain. We were ambushed. Before we knew it, the two worm speakers and their dragons were attacking, and Erebus did this not for tactical gain. He did not want a mask or gold or something that we had aboard, or even you. He wanted to send you a message. And he's looking at you, and you see his bleary vision sort of focuses on your visage, which has shifted since he last saw you. As you have become the White Worm Speaker, your face is an alabaster white with streaks of red down to your neck. And you see him almost apprehensive. Perhaps because he is thinking you shouldn't have used it. Perhaps because he just fought two people wearing these masks. Perhaps he's worried about what drove you to that level of desperation. He seems unsettled by it, to say the very least. Tabitha will approach Yuan, and likewise look at you with a bit of hesitation. She is relieved to see you alive, glad to see you here when they need you, but you can't help but notice her gaze lingers at the black veins that run around your eyes, at the sunken sockets where your eyes have just grown a little bit darker. As you see her hesitate, is there anything that you say?
I think I'll look at her for a second, and I'll say, is it that obvious? I've been better.
a lot better. That's all right. We'll talk about that another time. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you got out okay. Tajin, yes. It is good to have you back home. Were you successful in your mission? We saw the undead collapse out here. We assume you've beaten the White Worm Speaker, and I see you wear the evidence. But what of the Red?
The Red was a formidable foe.
He did have home field
I
advantage.
don't. Oh, yeah, I don't think we were as prepared as we thought we were. We'll have to reformulate.
Tajin will nod his head. We are up against enemies who are both powerful but hold positions of prominence. Their greatest strength might be the numbers they command. We also fought another worm speaker, the Blue. I had not seen him before, but he is
A menace.
deeply indeed. Tabby will hold up her bloodied hand and say, "No, he electrocuted me, and it rattled my body. I was stunned, and he got me while I was unable to react. I was able to seal the wounds and keep the crew in the fight for a while, at least. But Gideon will say, I saw the Blue one. He tore through the containment for the elementals, released the air and the fire elemental, and before long we were dead weight in the sky." Penelope would say, "How about that it's good to get us out alive? It was, not everyone was as lucky. I saw Khaled get struck down by Erebus and throw him overboard sometime before the crash. Vulcan will say, hold up his arm and go, Erebus's fucking dragon did this. I thought he ate it, so I guess I'm glad to have it back, but Tabitha patched me up, or Akira patched me up, and I wanted her to come with us, but she wouldn't leave without Kava. She went below deck. I don't see how she could have. Look, Captain, I tried to save her. I really did, but and you see him refusing to tear up a bit, but you see it welling. I didn't want to die again. Tabitha, I don't know if they're truly gone. It's been quiet for a couple of hours. We were waiting to move in case they were still nearby. But I don't know where we go from here."
Don't trouble yourselves over it. I've encountered Cerberus. I'd say like Argonauts. Like I'd say he was raised with him. You know, I grew up with him. He's a formidable foe. You know, like he's on a different level. Like you can't I don't know. Don't blame yourselves for not being able to defeat him. And as like Arcanauts is kind of like comforting everybody a little bit, trying to give as much encouragement as he can give. Like I say, like Morningstar pops up for a second, and then he's like, "Oh, wait a second, Tabitha." Because I just realized that they're fucking yeah. Wait a minute, they're together.
She's a little stunned too. Morningstar, I haven't seen you in years. Where have you been?
Oh, literally Helsenbeck.
Well, I hear it's lovely this time of year. All my friends are going. She gives a sidearm hug. One arm. Well, she only got one arm. Ooh. She places her hand on his shoulder. It's good to see you. I spoke to Sedina a couple seasons back. She's doing well. She's really coming into her own.
Yeah, Sedina. I forgot about Sedina.
She makes it very difficult to forget about her. She checks in
Forgot about
frequently.
Sedina. Little baby.
Tabitha will go, I'm afraid I burned my teleport for the day. I think we're stranded here unless we can somehow get all of us out. Even then, where do we go?
Let's say, well, we can go back to Nightstones. It might be wise. Goldbrand, I think, would ask Davos. I know Davos isn't here. Have the rest? Yuan. Does Yuan know about the defenses at Nightstone? If we go back to Nightstones, can we be well defended for a short time?
Yes and no. There are protections in place at Nightstone, but most of it is like anti-scrying, anti-teleportation, unless you go to the circle. There are
They would have to siege the city to get in, though, or send people physically into the city because they can't teleport there.
You're saying your people would? You can tell
enemies.
Y'all.
Because you said
Enemies, yes. Enemies could not teleport into
consecrated.
The city.
Yeah, they'd have to attack the city. I think we go back to Nightstones for a short time, or perhaps to Waterdeep.
Davos will look over the group and be like, I mean, big guy, I don't know if I can't carry this many people.
Yeah,
I can
that's what
maybe
I was getting around to.
6 or 7, but I mean, we're almost 15 here now. Not quite that, about 12.
But if we sleep 2 nights, you can take half and she can take half. Alternatively, I can prepare a spell that'll let us fly there. So we have options if we sleep tonight.
Tabitha nods her head. No, that certainly is an option, but I don't know if we're safe here. Like I said, I'm still not entirely sure we're not being watched now.
I would look around and then I would propose to the group. I can create a space that's safe and separate from here. It won't be well furnished. It will probably be quite plain, but it will certainly be safe if you're willing to step through a door with me.
Tabitha will nod. No, if we could get somewhere comfortable, that would be great. Davos, did you say, you said tomorrow. Do you have a teleport tonight? And I'm not looking at his character sheet.
Davos does. He didn't use it.
He does. You see, as Tabby sort of looks up. Well, I could call in a favor if we wanted to get somewhere tonight. And I'm not certain on this, so I won't have Tabitha say it. But Josh, does Denny Plain need a doorway? I feel like I remember that.
Yeah, essentially create a door on a flat surface, and it opens to whatever
It just has to
demi-plane.
Okay, it just has to be flat surface. It doesn't have to be like a physical door.
No, it's just essentially a ethereal door of sorts.
Gotcha.
Draw a square in the ground.
It's up to y'all. What's our best bet?
Sooner the better, really.
She goes, I don't suppose anybody has a sending?
Not unless the ring lets us go to people outside of others who have the ring.
Not the ring, but
the mirror.
You gather the mirror. Yeah, she's trying to get a hold of Sapine.
Yeah, you want to talk to the blue ones. Goran will just hand her the mirror, I guess.
She leans over to Yuan. Does he realize that you're right here? That's very racist. You can't just call people by their color. Come on, Goldbrand. This is the 15th century.
I lean in and whisper. I'm like, he's old and nearly blind. It's fine.
Goldbrand
He's from a different time.
Goldbrand flips you on the bird, but it like misses him sort of. It's like off kilter a little bit, to towards no one. And while they're having this conversation, Goldbrand activates his dragon form so he can grow wings. And I need to clarify real quick. So I know that So Tajin is good. He's not dead. I thought he was dead earlier when you said that wings were pinned
He's
to
not.
the
His
thing.
wings
Are
have been
gone.
clipped.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll fix that later. Go during Tabitha talking to Saphine. Goldburn wants to fly up to where her name fucking left me on the crow's nest. You said half her body was missing.
Aya.
Kaya. That's Gideon's wife,
Yeah.
right? Fiance. He's gonna go up. He takes a sickle. He cuts one finger off at the first joint and wraps it in some leaves / furs and tucks it away in his bag and flies back down. While she's calling.
That's all.
Holler.
Oh, crows up of her thumb. I see. Okay. You watch as a couple of the survivors, Penelope, Vulcan, even Tajin, do search and slowly come across some of the similar pieces of their crew as you did. And each time it is a heavy blow. But when Gideon finds Kaya, in fact, I think he finds her because you approach her, it draws his attention.
I am glowing.
And he is distraught. He begins to punch the stone beneath his feet until his fists bleed. He goes, we were fighting the blue worm speaker. And I thought that we were doing well. We were keeping him flanked. We were keeping him distracted. And before I knew it, he cut right through her. Like she was nothing, like she was air. And you see that much of the blood he is covered in does not appear to be his own. Gideon takes a moment by Kaya's body. You see that Tajin or that Penelope is particularly heartbroken over finding Akira and Kaba in their state.
I'm not reviving them. So we can't revive one of them, so they can both stay dead.
Might be for the best. She chose being with her partner over getting out, so might be what she wants to. Tajin will say a prayer to the Platinum Dragon for each of his fallen comrades. And he collects the breastplate, the leg, and Form takes the ruins of the profane altar and makes it a burial mound.
Oh, I was gonna burn it. Or ask you to burn it.
He's not actively burying them so much as he is creating a memorial. That's probably a better term. You watch as he looks up to his own wings mockingly before him and stares for a long, hard while. Erebus thinks himself a champion of champions, untouchable, unassailable by any of us. Arcanox, I pray that you prove him wrong. And
We
for
have
my
before,
sake,
and we'll certainly do it again.
for my sake, make it slow. And
We'll make the bastard bleed.
a few meters away, Tabitha is borrowing the mirror, speaking to Saphine, who you hear her answer from the other end. Well, good evening, boys. You're lucky you caught me at a good time. Tabitha, I'm sorry, I'm a little surprised. Normally when this pops up, it's one of the lords. Where the hell have you been? Tabitha relays some of the story to her. And you see as a bright blue glow flashes from the mirror before a lightning bolt strikes behind you. and stepping out from it is Sabine. She sees the wreckage, looks over your party of previously injured crew members, and asks if everyone is accounted for. Tajin will nod his head. Yes, we've identified, well, a body or two might still be missing, but we saw them go down before, so no missing persons, as it were. She says, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you that this is, unfortunately, been the story for many places in the last 48 hours. We've seen a myriad of dragon attacks on cities across Feyre. Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, Silvery Moon, Everaska is decimated. We're getting reports of more every few hours. I'm not sure why, but the Chromatics they're normally not so aggressive. They don't attack the bigger cities. I mean, even the strongest aren't a match for thousands of fortified combatants, but they're not raiding for food or gold. They're just blasting the city with their breath weapons as they fly by and making loops. They're launching a coordinated strike, and I'm willing to bet the worm speakers are behind it. I'm not certain where is safe, but we're holding a council tomorrow in Waterdeep. Try to allocate resources, get the Lord's Alliance on the same page, and coordinate a defense plan. Unless, of course, any of you have any information that would be useful. I know you were, she nods to Ark. I see you've managed to get yourself, the white mask at least. That's good. That's, 1+ in your possession now, yeah? She sort of gives a side eye to you on.
Just
Oh, very
nod to
well.
the side a little bit.
It's the only way I could think to secure it on short measure.
She goes, it's a good way to hold on to it. Well, hell of a lot harder to kill than most Arcanauts. By the way, I wanted to ask you, and she's cut off as a sonic boom suddenly thunders through the mountainside. It's as if hurricane force winds from nowhere. This bassy bellow that causes even the stones upon the earth to rattle with resonant vibrations. Arcanauts, you in particular, you feel this in your bones. Something primal, something ancient stirring within your blood. You see that Tajin, Vulcan, and Safine are all having this reaction. That all of you felt the wave, but they are struck by it differently. And even when this thunderous bellow subsides, you just hear Tajin specifically, Arcanauts specifically, just a high-pitched ringing, like a dog whistle in your ear almost. Safine looks terrified, and immediately, like, eyes go blue. She's scanning around trying to find a source of this. Before, we all need to get down right fucking now. She moves off to a small gap in the cliffside, and as you all draw closer, she waves her hand over, and an illusory terrain appears before you, making you appear as if you're just more of the mountainside. A few seconds pass before you see a wyvern. Just a small green wyvern, nothing fancy. And then another, and a blue, and a black, and a yellow, and a green, and a white, and a red. And before long, dozens, hundreds, wyverns block out the sun. You see hundreds of these fuckers, all forming a massive flock that begins to migrate south along the edge of the mountain range. And Arcanauts, in this swarm, Through these countless wyverns of every color, one in particular stands out to you. Easily spotted among the flock, as it's larger than any of the others, is your wyvern, Diabol.
I was actually wondering about him a second ago.
You see him flying with the flock, but he is shaking his head, rattling, as if he's trying to resist, but is nonetheless compelled forward like all of his kin. You realize that you have an instant where you can try to do something about this. But you gather, if you're unsuccessful, it could draw attention to all of you. What do you choose to do?
Well, I was thinking about just summoning him, right?
You certainly can. Do you have a spell slot?
Shit. No, I didn't use that many. I do.
Fantastic.
Summon Diabol.
Normally, you summon the essence of your wyvern. However, with him here physically, what does it look like as you try to draw him to you?
I'm sorry, one more time, I cut out for a second.
What does it look like as you try to draw your wyvern to you?
I think I just try to like telepathically communicate with him a little bit. I mean, like Arcanauts and Diabol are on a level at this point.
You go to reach out to that wordless connection you've always had with Diabol, especially over the last several years. And as you do, it's like not quite static. It's almost as if that whistle, that whine that you hear in the back of your ears is drowning it out. I'm going to allow you to make a charisma check about this. I will let you use your intimidation with advantage because this is your dragon. It does not have to be intimidation in spirit. We're just using that stat. As you try to overpower this dog whistle, as it were, what are you drawing on? How are you saying, get your ass over here before I, pull you out of the sky? Are you trying to beckon him forward? Are you trying to encourage him to refuse? What energy are you sending in this?
I'd say when Arcanauts first met Diabol in the flying sky castle kind of thing.
Yeah.
They had that first interaction where like it was just Arcanauts screamed him into submission kind of deal. You know what I mean? So I think he's going to do that again. I think he's going to try to roar loud enough to drown out whatever the dog whistle is and cut through it. But
roll an intimidation check with advantage.
Damn, double 21.
And that's not a high roll. You watch as Diabol shakes his head more and stirs, and he begins to his head snaps around to face you. And as it does, his eyes are not quite right. They're almost more slitted, more primal, almost as if he's regressed into something more feral. He calls about to the pack, and you watch as a section of this flock breaks off and begins to head down the valley and toward all of you. Safine says, we don't got long. Davos, let's get the fuck out of here. She and Davos begin their casting. And the last thing that you see as the spell is achieved is the sight of a blue dragon coming off the mountainside and making its way south. And I think perhaps Pandora, the keenest of sight, would notice that there is another one in the Anarok Desert also heading south, before all of you blip out of existence and reappear outside of the Flagon Dragon, the inn at the inn in Waterdeep that you departed from. Safine looks immediately rattled. She says, I don't know what the hell that was, but the Worm Speakers are trying to gather an army. If they're gathering numbers so brazenly, then they're close to doing what they want to do. We don't have a hell of a lot of time. I need to get a hold of some people. I need to make sure that the council is here and that people aren't going to relocate because of this. I need you there tomorrow as well. If we can convince everyone that this is the time to strike, I think this is our last chance. We need backup, not just allies, but armies. Take the night, patch yourselves up, do what you need to do, but tomorrow meet me at Castle Waterdeep. And unless anyone has anything else to say to her, she departs. As the 5 of you stand, a few more of you, they improve the Wavering as well as Morningstar and Integrity. As all of you are back in Waterdeep, what is your course of action?
Obviously, we need to secure a place to rest. Before that, and just before I forget, while they're moving around or going in the Flag and Dragon to get rooms or whatever, Goldbrand wants to take the mirror. He wants to call the mirror in Nightstone. Don't know who's standing in front of it now. I know that was years ago.
No, yeah, the mirror is still active, and it is still has a guard posted by it. You see, he sort of snaps to attention. Something that is a very boring post has suddenly become interesting.
Indeed.
He looks at you, Lord Goldbrand. I'm sorry, sir. What can I do?
I just need you to carry a message, please.
To who?
Go tell Vindicator, Stonespire, that his time is needed in Waterdeep in the mornings, if he is able. No need to carry word back to me if he cannot make it. But tell him we will be at the Flag and Dragons in the mornings. That's what you called it, right?
Yes, sir. I will alert him post-haste, sir. May I pass on any other message?
Is there anything else we need to tell anyone in Nightstone, y'all? I don't think there's a lot of key players in Nightstone at the moment.
No.
You do have a
Tell them to be
couple
on
of
alert.
armies posted
Oh,
there.
ready the armies. Ready or
Yeah,
mobilize?
rally the troops.
Oh, yeah. Prepare to mobilize the arm. Maybe Davos leans over, because Goldbrand's not commander-minded. Davos will tell him. Tell... Who's our drill sergeant? Tell so-and-so to...
Sidiri.
Tell Sidiri to mobilize the army and prepare them for march.
Certainly, sir. I imagine Davos will also say something. Get word to the Order of the Aster. Try to see if we can get a few nights in Waterdeep tonight. He takes all these notes. Anyone else that you want him to try to reach out to?
You don't want him to reach out to the youth guard or anything?
I guess there would be a line of communication there. Goldbrand can't do it himself. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I don't know if Goldbrand would involve them. I guess he's got to. I guess for this. Yeah.
You'll see him say, and I think Goldbrand would know this. It's not uncommon now for y'all to have like a runner, for lack of a better word, positioned there who knows where the tribe would be. He goes, we'll get word to your people as quick as we can. Your son is here, if that is helpful at all.
Oh, Edensal?
The
The other one?
Najal.
Najal, there we go. Took me a second.
It
It makes you feel any better? I knew it was the prodigal son. I just had the wrong name. Okay. Man, there's too much information to condense to tell him right now. Just tell him to tell the Uthgar to tell Ravna there'll be a fight if they want to be parts of it. Lots of glory to be had. Alert the rest of the tribes as well.
He nods his head. It will be done, sir. And soon the mist fades out and the mirror becomes your own reflection once more. You do also know, for what it is worth, that they are not far from Nightstone this time of year. So you imagine that's an achievable goal.
They can get there maybe.
Especially given that some of y'all's your mounts are there and will provide them a winged method of travel that will expedite that.
Oh, so Goldburn wants to. Is it possible for him to addendum that to like every one of those parties? Contact us for questions. Contact Davos, depending on who it is. Contact
Yeah.
Davos for questions. Contact Goldburn.
Certainly.
Because they
Yeah.
should have some spellcasters around them. Because we got to give them directions to the Well of Dragons, all that fun stuff. So Goldburn wants to impress upon them they need to touch base. I know they wouldn't say that with us.
Absolutely. No, yeah. The information is given. Arcanauts, I imagine you have a bit of a thought too that it might not be a bad idea to contact Hecaton. Get the big guns involved, as it were.
Is he on mirror?
I don't know if he's off mic then, or
Just muted.
I was
Ah!
on mute the whole time. Oh my god.
no,
Yeah.
you're fine.
Yeah, we're definitely contacting Hecaton. I'm assuming we have some way we can message him.
Is he on the mirror?
I don't think he was established on the mirror. However,
He just calls us mostly. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, I would say that there is,
It's early enough in the day.
yeah,
we can
y'all
pay
had
someone to
vacant
do it.
slots on the mirror. He's a pretty important character. I would say that yes, y'all do have a contact in Maelstrom. As the
Goldburn hands the
mirror
mirror to
fades in,
Ark.
as the mist fades to the underwater city of Maelstrom, and you see the sort of grim visage of Hecaton. He is surprised to see you and goes, Captain Arcanox, it is good to see you. Or you look a little paler than when I last met you, but hopefully that's an advantage and not an impediment.
Well, it'll soon be seen. Unfortunately, we don't have time for pleasantries, my Storm King. But the armies of Tiamat are raising. Well, yeah, the forces of Tiamat are raising armies against the citizens of Faerun.
I will have the giants mobilized as quick as I can. Is there some place that we can gather together?
Arcanox kind of looks around. He's like, "Where were we meeting? Nice now. Waterdeep.
That's where our
Yeah,
forces
council
are
is gonna-
meeting. Yeah, the council's in Waterdeep. Our forces are meeting at Nightstone. You could tell him to be prepared to march on the Well of Dragons because they have rocks. They flew
Oh yeah,
the last time that they mobilized. They might can just meet us there.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Not a bad idea. You pass along the information of the council and where the ultimate target is, the Well of Dragons. And he nods and says, it will be done. I will speak to Count Harshnag and the others immediately. Anyone else that you think to reach out to in this moment of need?
Is Goldenfields our military ally? I guess we don't have a way to contact him.
Yeah, the NPC that you know from there, G, has been deceased, but you still have a formal relationship with him. I don't think you have a method of magically contacting them, but if you call back to Nightstone, due to the Golden Knight Road, they can have somebody there very quickly. So it will be they will be messaged as well. Tabitha might also mention it's also possible that the leader of Golden Fields might be at the council meeting tomorrow. Usually there's a representative from most of the major settlements.
I feel like we're forgetting somebody that's in a powerful position, and I'm not sure who it was.
In fact, a lot of the big ones.
I'm gonna zoom out on my map. Enjoy stream as I go way out on this map.
Yeah. Looking for everybody we've ever done anything for. Calling in all favors.
It's true.
Let me just reach out to the Raven Queen really quick and see what she's up to.
Yeah.
What was were we on island? Who are the dinosaur people? That's an Uthgar tribe. I guess they're covered.
Oh, that's Ta'asi, yeah. The Thunder Beast tribe. They were on an island, now they're in the forest up here by Morgur's Mountains. You've brought dinosaurs back to the main continent. Congratulations. Achievement unlocked.
Yeah, Druidus.
We were so busy asking if we could, we never asked if we should. Achievement. Oh my god. Igor. Jesus Christ. Sorry, my cat took a poop. Whew.
Oh, buddy.
Like in the litter
Yes.
box.
Yes. No.
I think we got most of the big ones. I wish we could get some of the other giants, but the Storm Kings will be the best ones anyway.
They're first in the pecking order, right? I mean, talk to them.
Yes.
We can always see
Oh,
about
They're
that.
sure,
the
yeah.
Bring in
strongest.
others.
And he mentioned
did
Count
talk-
Harshnag, who
Yeah.
is now second in the ordering, right? The
Correct.
Frost Giants moved up to second after the events of the last campaign.
And the way he said it, he said Harshnag and the others, you gather he's going to talk to all of the giant lords. Not sure how many he can get mobilized on short notice, but there will be a definite attempt.
Aloud to the group, can we get word to Fugulus? Oh my, he says Topaz. I've been deceived.
No, yes, that is Felgulus. Felgulus was promoted from the brass dragon. Brass or bronze? I think bronze.
Well, I still thought
He was
it
promoted from that to when Sardior came back, he made Felgulus the missing topaz dragon, and Nissa, who was the white dragonborn cleric on the ship, the crystal dragon. Basically, he restored the missing links of the gemstone dragons by making sure there's one of each.
We need to find the fucking what time. And this is relevant for something later. What time is it? Are shops
At this
open?
point, it's probably yes. I imagine you're getting close to the end of that time. I'd say it's probably evening, approaching dusk.
Let's pay someone to message him if y'all are amendable, and anyone else y'all can think to message, so we're not bound by the mirror.
As you talk about Felgulus and being a gemstone dragon, Barbara, you grip your bow a little tighter and think of the time that you tried to contact Valafiandra, Hot Stuff, from the Underdark, and you weren't successful. But you think that it is a possibility you could reach out to her.
Yeah, I'd try.
What do you try to send out? Like, what do you conjure up to try to do this? It's not casting a spell so much as it is just taking the piece of her with you and trying to establish a connection there.
Sending the hey you up text.
Just thinking thoughts of desperation and help. New dragon babes, something to get her attention.
Yeah, I will allow a persuasion check or a performance check.
Let me see what is good. Persuasion. My persuasion's better.
22. What do you send out the thoughts of desperation and the anxiety and the fear and the call for help. And you're almost disappointed as nothing seems to happen until the locks of your hair begin to drift around you. And you feel that connection to her. And she says, in your hour of need, I shall be there. It's not
Sweet,
so
thanks.
much. It's not so much words as it is a feeling. And then your hair falls limp again. A connection was made.
Woohoo!
Anyone else that comes to mind?
Would I know any pirate, being the pirate queen? I know Skullport's not in a position to help right now. But would I know any other pirate, just miscellaneous pirate people to throw in there?
In the past, when you've had to do this, it's always been put a fucking bounty on it. You put a bounty on somebody's head. That's the best way to tell the pirates, hey, fuck this bitch up.
Okay, so I can do that.
You do have your earring, which you can connect with Avalon. Avalon, is in Skullport, so you could certainly send a message to her.
All right, well, I guess, would the bounty be against, should I put it out against, the wyvern's heads itself specifically in this area, or should I just put it against Herberus?
You gather,
I guess.
you could do a general, for every member of the Cult of the Dragon that you slay, they will be awarded accordingly. If they manage to take down a dragon, then they will get a sizable sum. If they can manage to take down wyverns, it would be like a price per head, almost like scalping.
Right.
Don't know if I could say that.
Yeah, like how they killed all the wolves. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, now I'm sad. And Bison. Yeah, you get the message out to Avalon, and she says, "Yeah, what's going on?"
War is coming.
The people of this city owe their lives to you, Pandora. I'm certain they will be honored to take up arms for you. Where are you?
We're in Waterdeep, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd let her know. Round the corner in the general neighborhood.
She goes, I may stop by. I'd like to talk to you in person if we can. The message is sent. She begins to place bounties, which you know are not just placed in the city, but rather broadcast through magical means to many pirates across, the Sword Coast. So, you've got quite a few enemies or a few allies that might be able to assist.
Sweet.
Is there anyone else y'all think of to reach out to?
Daddy Bergen.
I've called.
I had to say it.
I
Yeah, we
called
got him
Bergen.
now.
Yeah, I called Bergen. Hopefully he can help us. But for the
You know,
group, go.
I think Davos will look at you and will go like, "Oh, fuck! Wait a minute!" And he holds up his ring and goes, "Hey, Bergen. Just so you know, I killed like 6 dragons since we last talked. You should come to Waterdeep. We could really use your help in the morning. Shit's gone down. I'm sure. Did you hear the thing? I don't know what the fuck. It's like a base, I think it was like a low G, like a G2 maybe.
No, wait a second.
If you
The ring says message. It can't go that far, right?
oh, can it not?
No, that's why I used the mirror, because I checked, because it said message instead of sending, and I was like,
I see. Davos talks to nobody. And when nobody answers, he goes, must be broken.
He's writing it in his diary.
Yeah, but for the group, my plan for him is he should be able to cast Regenerate. Goldbrand can cast Regenerate. If we can stay in town for a day or two, we can regrow Tajine's wings, we can get Vulcan's arm back, we can get Tabitha's arm back. It's time to heal everybody up and just go march on the fucking well, in my opinion. But that's just because I crave violence. Anyway.
I was gonna say, you can't build the rest of Harvey from his leg, can you?
I can.
Just kind of
I
brandishing his leg.
I didn't get a piece of him, but I can. I took her
I've got his leg.
thumb. I took her thumb because I just need a piece.
Barbara just carrying around.
No, she would wrap it up. She'd have like a
I know.
cloth or like a linen that she wrapped his leg up. But she's got to break the news if he
Fair
doesn't
enough.
regenerate.
If you
I don't
have some of the remains, I would be
Yeah,
glad
I've got
to
his
use
leg.
those.
I don't want to put words in Davos's back, but I can see him almost like, oh, cool back scratcher. Like,
It's,
Has to
it's
get
like
under
a
the
little
armor?
rabbit's claw, but it's a claw.
oh god.
Bleeds a little bit from the
Um,
talons.
Fantastic. You all send out an array of messages to your allies across the country.
Before shops close, Goldbrand needs to shop. 2,000 gold worth of things. I'll mark it off now.
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You do, when you go into the bag of holding, coins are missing.
Again? I thought we got the mimic. Oh, there's another
And
one.
anyone who wants to can make a history check.
I ain't gonna be no good. I'll roll for Davos though.
Double mimic.
Not another mimic.
Oh, I see so many messages. I'm sorry, people who I've not been looking at. I'll look at that in a second. Wait 1 second.
Davos's roll is
Uh,
garbage.
Yuan, I think, is the first to realize. He's like, oh fuck. We got the mimic coin, took care of it, and then we did a bunch of shopping in fucking Waterdeep at like 6 different stores and spent a ton of gold. There was a lot of gold that was transacted as you bought and sold things. You gather, and it occurs to you, you don't know if you ever mentioned that to Tabitha or Safine, that there was this mimic coin issue. This has been continuing and gathering a hoard for quite some time. Without a check necessary, you guys do manage to pull all your money out. You actually find, give me 1 second.
I feel like Pandora is kind of an expert at mimics at this point. The bane of her existence.
Yeah. You do find 4 of these coins and burn them through. Your bag is lighter than what it says. Your gold, instead of being 6,900, is about 5,500. You lost about 1,400 gold.
Damn mimics.
To liquidate more things.
Goldbrain, what are you buying?
Rare oils and ungans. Ungans? Ungens? I don't know how to say it.
Eunuch. What the fuck is this for? Spell component?
It is. It's for reincarnate, if I'm being transparent. That's
okay.
That's worth 2
Not
castings
bad
of
to have.
reincarnate. No, we're about being
Fantastic.
giddy and about to have a moment. After I
If
sleep.
you, if you want to go ahead and mark off that, or if you want to put that in there, like 2x castings of so and so, as like an inventory item. Fantastic. You are all in the city of Waterdeep. Do you have anything else that you need to do before you rest?
I need to talk to specifically the people in this small group for just a moment before we go to bed. Unless somebody else has something they want to do.
Just pee.
Okay, then. I'll look at everybody and I'll say, the timing on this, so I don't waste resources, is kind of paramount. It seems to me that, after some consideration, having the mask and using it to our advantage might be better than having it stored away. So I'm going to pose to all of you, would anyone be interested in having the other and putting it on?
It's
Which
kind of
color
cool.
mask was it? Remind me.
The green.
Oh, so that one was. the
That
one
one's
I
your.
thought.
That
Yeah.
one's yours if you want it.
Yeah. Shit. I mean, at this
They're
point,
cool.
I gotta unattune to something. I think.
I'll look at you, and so the way we did this last time is we allowed a slight transition of properties so that you could
Yes.
attune, unattune, wearing an amulet of protection against scrying.
Right.
So you'll have to temporarily unattune to 2 things in order to take it, but yes,
But you could do
That
that
one.
over to Cornwall.
you could put it on. That you would have to permanently lose
You're
one
cutting in
thing.
and out.
Uh,
Oh, you're both cutting in and out. Maybe it's me.
Barbara, are
I don't know.
Oh no!
I think it's all of us.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Connected. But there we go. Good.
Hey, can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. Now.
I can hear you now.
Fantastic. All right, sorry about that. I don't know if that was on my
Second.
end or.
Well, it's everybody, I think, because
Oh, I
we're
thought-
all. No, it was everybody. That's the second session in a row. Discord's just took a big old shit for one of us.
Huh.
Because like you all went choppy. I could hear y'all talking. I could hear all of y'all going, "Can you hear me?" Is what's going like? But it was all choppy, so it was apparently everybody. Happened last session too.
That's dumb. Regardless, I
The
forgot what we were
service.
saying right before that. I'm sorry. Oh, Josh. So, Barbara, do you have something that you want to permanently unattune to?
I mean, I
take
guess
that
I can
mask?
unattune to my Stone of Insight.
Your ion stone?
Okay.
Yeah, because other than that, it's like all the stuff that buffs my AC.
Yeah, she's got like
I
the
guess
bow,
it's a fair
the
fair
captain's
trade.
pride. You
I've
could
got
take
my
off
hat,
the
yeah.
cephalopods. You could take off the saber. It's
I-
not like a core part of your kit, but it does give you darkness and some other stuff that's kind of neat.
Let's see. That's right.
Maybe
because that's
it might
not the one
help.
that gives me the watery thing.
Yeah, that's the captain's pride, which I think also
Yeah.
requires a 2-minute.
I mean, let me see. Yeah, I don't know if I've really used the saber a whole lot.
Looking at your list, I think that's might be the best thing to drop, but that's, neither here nor there.
Yeah, I might pass it down to Avalon when she arrives.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Noted. All right, Barbara, if you want to add to your sheet the green dragon mask and attune to it, you can go ahead and read that over. And let me think.
As I open the door, my simulacrum is standing there, and I go to retrieve the mask, and I let him know.
As you open the door, he's
you're-
like reading this book of fiends that y'all left him with, and he looks up, and he just has this. He doesn't learn per se, but he like perfectly recites to you like the paragraph that he just read, and you gather if you ever had like a question of fiends, he has read this book front to back probably multiple times in the 72 hours he's been stuck with it. So for what that's worth.
But I'll gesture to him and I'll say, "Come, bring the mask. Your servitude's over. You linger in that prison no more. You can sleep in here with us tonight if you would like."
Oh, well, that would be fantastic. He stands up and like cracks his back real good, rolls his shoulders, and as he steps out, where do you do this? I'm sorry, this might have happened in the choppy bit.
I assumed I was gonna wait until we were like kind of where we were gonna sleep or like close to it and just go into somebody's room or wherever we were gonna be.
Is Tabitha around when you do this?
I mean, I would argue I probably wouldn't normally let her out of my sight after everything that happened, but on the flip side, like if she had business to handle, I'm not gonna stop her.
She seems, while she is a lord of Waterdeep, and she will definitely have to be at this council meeting in the morning, she does seem to be on the level of, my friends are in need, and this is my number one concern. My crew was just attacked. I need to help them, So she's not going anywhere.
Okay, I would say she's there then, as long as she doesn't have anything else she needs to be doing.
As you walk out from this doorway, and are very quickly joined by you two, for all of you, it's a rather stark comparison to have the simulacrum that was made before the book really sunk its hooks into you on, and the dark version of your friend that stands before you. And I think Davos would say, this sort of prompting it in his mind, we should talk, by the way, tonight, tomorrow, sometime soon.
Agreed. I think the sooner the better. If you're down, we can certainly convene tonight. If you would like a night, I think we'll be here for a few days, so...
Let's get a drink. Let's have a pint or two, and then we'll tackle that.
Okay, sounds good. Nice wings, by the way.
Yeah, you too is nice as well.
The night Goldbrand frequently addresses the wrong Yuan because he can't see the details difference. So he's like frequently talking to the wrong Yuan.
You too loves it. He's like, oh, so this is what friends are. This is nice. I kind of wanted Davos here for this, but I don't think we're going to be able to get around that. All of you patch yourselves up. Get a couple of drinks. Get a full belly of food. The crew has quarters, and the Flagon Dragon, all of you have your quarters. And I think that Davos sort of gathers you all together, at least the core group, to be present for this in case anything were to go south.
Goldbrand stands
You
in the
enter one-
doorway. The big scary bouncer.
And I think Davos almost asked for you to go into the demi-plane, like while you have the door open, but he has the thought that, but if he's evil and he traps us in there, I don't know how the fuck we'd get out. And then decides, We'll better do it here. You won. Do you want Tabitha here for this, or no?
I think it would make sense. The thing is, I don't know. I would assume that I know what we're going to talk about, and I feel like it would be therapeutic for her to an extent, maybe, to be here for this. But I don't know if that's like too much above board to approach it that way.
I mean, no, I think that there's definitely. I think that Yuan would know this hurts her to see me like this, and if she sees me go through this process, I think it would be good for both of us.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I just didn't know how much above table, you know.
No, I gotcha. We are going to take a brief break. We're going to be back in 10 minutes where we will pick up with this particular little exchange. Thank you very much for joining us in the first half. We'll see you soon. herpes.
So anyway, the difference between amphibians and reptiles.
Back to our regularly scheduled programming. As we
Herpetology
return-
podcast incoming.
As we return to Waterdeep, the Flag and Dragon, second floor, where you all have taken up residency for the night. The five of you, in addition to Tabitha, and I believe also Integrity, gather in this space. Yuan, how do you separate yourself from that which you wish to destroy?
I think with my current mindset, this might be too brash, but I think I just looked Davos in the eyes and sort of squint for a moment. I say, I think we both know why we're here. Someone within me told us where to find one that could help deal with a certain artifact, and I believe you've merged with that thing. And I pull it out in front of everyone and just slide it across the table. I say, I want to do this in the open so that everyone knows I'm serious.
As Yuan removes this book, his fingers clutching it tightly, as if it were some great weight, you see, and rather you feel, the temperature in the room dips. The hairs on the back of your neck rise on end. This book is an instruction manual in how to perform the most vile and desecrating of magical arts. Its entire existence is rooted in negative energy so profound that it is like a well of gravity, almost. And as he places it out, Davos winces a bit, Integrity likewise. Just being in the same space as this holds its own draw, its own revulsion to others. You feel, Yuan, as the spirit of Evangeline rises within you. And she speaks. Not in your head, but through you. And Davos, newly understanding Celestial, understands it. He clutches his amulet. And as he does, it begins to glow. And the array of light that flies forth, glimmering into existence, you see Safarina. Her body no longer mangled, her wings no longer plucked. She is in the material plane, far from the hells where she was prisoner for decades. You see her examine this tome, this vile book of darkness that has predated continents, planets, even. And as she reaches out toward it, Yuan, I think there's a part of you that doesn't want to see it go. Roll a charisma saving throw for me. You feel this urge, this need, this draw. You think of the power that you felt course through you as you commanded the Aranes. You think of what you could do to other entities that stood in your way by revocation of their will. You think of the world beyond, the thousands of lifetimes you could live in your own skin rather than being reliant on these spirits. And when it comes down to it, how far are you from a necromancer as you are now? You who has always walked that line between life and death, I think has less of a stigma than many do on this. And I think what comes to mind are the faces of your friends, not in support, but in the simple signals of noticing as they pick up on your changes. The separation, the distance that it puts between you and those around you. The look of disgust that Tabitha has when she notices a new feature on you. And I think that you manage to resist the urges of drawing in the book. You watch as Serafina takes the tome within her hands, and likewise, her arms flexed and tense, her hands clenched, white-knuckled, as she holds this before her. Her hands begin to glow. The book around the edges begins to almost catch light. It rattles and twists and jerks and seems as if it is going to burst from her grasp before she sinks her thumbs into the cover and rips the book asunder. Josh, roll a 1d100. To me, if you don't mind. Private.
Ooh, okay. Hold on. I gotta figure out how to do that.
I think in the dice menu there should be a 2GM option. Or GM roll at the very top.
Hold on. Type roll, normal, whisper. Hang on, I got this. I'm gonna use the extension. I think it should now whisper it. If it doesn't, I'll roll again.
No, base.
Oh, there it is.
As this book breaks down into light and flies asunder, there is the rushing of cold wind that is blasted away from all of you before immediately replaced with a warm and glowing warmth. This pit of energy in this room immediately spikes. It is as if watching a long overdue end come to something that has done so much evil in this world. The world will be better for it. And hopefully, it'll be better for a long, long time. Josh, I think that Yuan understands the book well enough to know that it's never truly gone. And despite your best effort, I think there is a little voice in the back of your head that thinks, I'll find it in the next life. As this book is torn asunder, you all see Yuan's body not convulse, but jerk violently inward. You see that the black lines on the side of his eyes writhe for a moment before beginning to recede and fade. You see that his hair that had grayed begins to regain just a little bit of that greenish seafoam pigment. It is a noticeable change immediately, but there are still lingering scars, as it were. But it's a big step toward the Yuan that all of you met 2 weeks ago, I guess now. As weird as that is to think. Do any of you say anything in this moment?
I'll drink to that.
You're here.
I think death is for the best in the long runs.
I'll cock my head and say, most of me agrees. I think it was the right decision for all of us.
I think mostly for yous and the ones you cares about.
And then I'll cock my head to the side and look at Tabitha, and I'll say, just so you know, there was a world where the outcome of this was very different. For a moment when we couldn't find you in the wreckage, there was an itch in the back of my mind that the thing tethering me to this plane the most, well, it was gone, and once that chain was broken, I'm afraid that it would have been irrevocable. So, thank you for surviving.
He smiles. He goes, "I'll try my best to make a habit of it. I know this couldn't have been easy in your condition, but I'm glad to see you came through. I must admit, there was while you were gone in the Hellgate, there was a part of me that considered the way things would be if you didn't change, and how far I would go to accommodate you. You saved us both from a fate worse than death today. And more importantly, you did it of your own will. You never cease to surprise me. I think at this point, U2 walks up and looks at you and goes, "Oh, we're identical." And he does a little minor illusion and gets some little faded gray lines around his eyes. Well, close to that.
I think I'll look at him for a second and say, I wonder if you can get drunk. Do you want to find out?
Honestly, it's plagued my mind. It's been the number one thing I've had about the real world that I've just been like, I wonder what that's like. Who knows? Do they get quieter when you get drunk? Because honestly, they're a little annoying after a while.
Quieter. Sometimes they come through as like, sounds that you can't really perceive. It's almost like they're the ones that are drunk. It becomes difficult.
Just incoherable nonsense. Yeah, it's a little. I need a drink. Let's go. And I think that Integrity hangs back a bit and says something to Davos before he leaves. Not to any of you. Something I'll message Davos about later. But you all leave for the night. And I imagine, unless anyone has anything else they need to take care of tonight, get your rest. Any other business before we move on?
Devin has to know if simulacrums can get drunk.
You know what? Yes, they have a constitution score. Yeah.
Okay. On a purely scientific level, I understand that.
He has, it's funny. I imagine, if you do go with they're literally made of snow, he becomes very akin to like a wine slushy after 4 or 5.
Beautiful.
Literally gets sloppy/sloshy after having too many drinks. Limbs
Throws
start
up just slush.
Gorbran wonders idly if simulacrums can die of alcohol poisoning.
They are just mortal men.
Goldbrand over here asking the real questions.
Yeah.
For real though.
Goldbrand's not sulking, but he's not having as much to drink as he normally would.
It's is that I think Gideon would want to try to pick up on, is that just because things have been so shitty today? Or is that because, like...
His
I
liver's
don't know.
failing.
If he asked him, he would just say, "Be prepared to get up early in the mornings, 2 hours before sunrise."
He goes. He looks at a sundial on the wall. I guess. He goes, that's like 2 hours away.
I hope not. We have to have the rest
No.
first. Technically, Goldbrand has
No,
to
yeah.
rest, but he warns him we're gonna get up early.
He'll nod his head. Should I bring the bloodweed?
Knows. I'm going to teach you some things, but I have to be at the right time. We have to work quickly when we get there.
He nods his head. All right. Will do, Storekeeper. Without, in lieu of anything else happening tonight, Yuan, you have the best night's sleep you have had in a week and a half, 2 weeks, 10 days, however long it's been. It is the first night you can remember not having dreams and not waking up every few minutes because you're too afraid of what might happen if you drift off deep into sleep and something else were to happen. And I think a part of you can't help but wonder about Kava and what this would mean for her. Does destroying the book remove whatever was preventing you? Was her soul consumed and is now gone? I think that's the only thing that plagues your night.
And I think I would be curious enough to consider going to check in the future at some point. Although, in the back of my mind, I think if I wake up with that, I would hope that her soul just got to pass on when the book got destroyed, because her partner is now no longer with us, and that would be even more cruel.
No, certainly. As we awaken the next morning, we return to the city of Waterdeep, and there is a bit of a meeting going on.
Second,
You all make
please.
your way. Sorry?
1 second, if you please.
Yeah.
For the rest early that morning.
I'm sorry. Yes.
I
yes,
need to
please.
hit that button. Before I can get. 1 second. Okay. So after that rest, after spells have been changed, essentially, Goldbrand will go down to the common room early in the morning, assuming Gideon is waiting for him. If not, he goes wakes him up. Fun jazz.
He trudges down a couple of minutes after you.
Yeah.
Not seemingly eager, but he.
I think you'll find this will
wanting
be
to complete
worth
the
it.
duty.
Worth the effort. Follow me's. Goldbrand takes him to the beach, to Barbarian's Bath. Do you still have the Waterdeep map? I just realized we're not on the...
Yeah, of course, my friend. I'm sorry. Thank you for saying that.
No, it's okay. I just realized it myself. He will take him to the beach, which is on the northwest section of town. There's a particular spot called the Barbarian's Bath, where, for those of you who haven't seen, there has been... Goldbrand took his first bath in the ocean, and some people were resurrected there. So Goldbrand takes him down there, and he says, we only have a certain amount of times. I'm going to do the first ones. And then if perhaps you are able, you can do the second. So Goldbrand will instruct Gideon, while he does this. He goes to a place, he watches, he measures with his eye, maybe in he has to pull Gideon up to him and give him measurements he can't see, but he begins to draw in the sand in a place where the tide will come up to, which may not be easily apparent when he begins to draw. Spends maybe close to an hour drawing in the sand. I like to think of Full Metal Alchemist style, a very big, 8 feet, 6 feet circle out in the sand. Very complex, alchemical looking circle. And then he takes the oils and unguents, or however you say that he had to buy, and he begins to fill in the gouges in the sand. Oh no, I skipped a place. Before he does this, he takes out the wrappings and takes out the little piece of Kaya's thumb, the end of her finger, and he shows it to Gideon. You know what this is?
He sees it, and you see his skin blanch a little bit. But but he nods his head affirmatively.
It is necessary. A small piece will work. Any piece will work. But a piece is required. It is okay to be hurting and sad. Sometimes it helps. Goldbrand will bury that piece, draw the circle I elaborated on earlier, fill it with the unguents and the oils so that, all the crevices are filled and it is like a solid paste almost. And then, instructing Gideon on how to do of each thing he's doing, he will sit down or stand in front of it and he will begin to chant. And as the tide reaches the middle of the circle, that's what I like to think the spell activates, and he finishes his chant. And as he does, the circle glows, and all his stuff is cosmic-y, so it's lots of starlight, purples, reds, and things like that kind of spark and flash and grow, and the sand forms into a body because the spell makes a new body.
I was about to ask.
That is
into a halfling body.
Yeah, indeed. So a smaller form than what Kaya was, but a halfling sits up out of the sand, very much alive. Goran frowns a little bit because he's only vaguely familiar, with this concept. And he goes,
He's like, I fucked up the scale.
Yeah, this might take some explainings, but she will know who she was.
And you see, as confused and understandably a little surreal the experience is, she does understand what has happened to her. And Kaya looks down at her hands, a fraction of the size they were before. Her skin, a light tan as opposed to its gray, and looks up to your towering form, probably 3 to 4 times her height. And is at a loss. And Gideon looks to her, and he's equally confused before he makes eye contact. And there's this unnecessary explanation, this series of emotions that runs across both of their faces that communicates everything that needed to be. And he takes off a cloak and drapes it around her. And they embrace. He tells her, he apologizes. First, he bemoans the fact that he was not able to stop her. And there is no resentment on her end. She sets his fears at ease, and before long, he tells her home.
Sorry, my OBS gave me an error. Let's reconnected it. It says, Goldbrand will hand him the stuff to do the spell. He'll tell him, it does not work after 10 days. It can cure the body, but it is not helpful for those who are ready to go on. But this should work for any of those who are not quite done living. It's Harvey Birdman, because Barb asked and said she had a leg. So,
yeah.
Goldbrand coaches Gideon on how to cast Reincarnate, if you will allow that. It is a 5th level spell.
He's technically a few levels behind you, y'all, because I never want any NPC allies to be on y'all's level quite. I am going to make him make a check about it. I think it's going to be an Arcana check. You have guided him doing it once. I think he's going to have advantage on it. Let me see here. He performs the ritual exactly as you have indicated. He buries the leg. He draws the circles. He fills in the grooves with drawing them in the sand, I might add, and adding in the oil that doesn't seep in due to its viscous nature, but creates a gleaming circle in of itself. And as the tide washes in and it crosses that center threshold, and as it grows higher and higher, the sand begins to mold into a new figure. The figure that stands before you is a human. Male, tall, broader shoulders, not terribly fit, but not out of shape either. Black hair down to his shoulders. And as he pushes himself up with a perfect understanding of what has occurred, he goes, "Oh my god. I'm gonna have to change my name. I can't be Harvey Birdman Man. I can't be Harvey Man. This is really gonna read. I need to call my therapist. This is deeply
It's
upsetting."
Birdman now.
The skin, the horn, the drinking horn.
Birdman.
The drinking horn?
Yeah, his horn.
Oh, you
full of-
pass him the. I
yeah,
gotcha.
like,
It takes
That's
a
rough,
heavy
buddy.
swig.
yeah,
like,
that's rough.
Do you
buddies.
I know you don't really wear them, but do you have any pants?
Any hats? Or just...
Do you have any pants? Pants! I need pants!
Goran will hand him his bear skin till they can get him somewhere.
Goldbrand not wearing anything under his bearskin. No. Oh, here, yes, take my kilt. No, you bring the crew back, and there is a confused but genuinely happy reunion with the crew of the Western Wyvern, who have come down for breakfast sometime after you arrive. Hava and Birdman. I think Harvey will say, the thing that took me out, the dragon, it was weird. Like, I mean, I fought black dragons before, that's not necessarily anything out of the ordinary for us in the Wyvern, but this guy had he wasn't physical in the same way that like dragons are. He was he was like almost devoid of light. I don't know how to explain it, but when he blasted me down, it wasn't acid. It was like I don't know, an absence of being or a force of darkness. I don't really have a word for it. I'm not really one for those magey words, but it wasn't a normal black dragon. Y'all should be careful. He's nasty.
Never mind.
Seems he's only gotten worse.
My eggs have been scrambled, which is normally an Aarakocra saying, but I guess now we'll have to do as a human saying as well. Barb hated it so much she left.
She said, "Fuck that."
All right. Anything else for this morning, my friends?
When they leave the beach, Goldbrand will impress upon Gideon that, because from that perspective of a 5th level spell, I don't know how he would say this. You no longer need to consider yourself in trainings. A Starkeeper that can bring back a critical piece of the tribe is a Starkeeper fully. You no longer, at least you don't have to do homework anymore. Goran will leave.
Gideon nods appreciatively. I think carrying Kaya back. And will say to you, don't act like this isn't just you being like, okay, I can finally fucking die, and this guy's not gonna ruin everything, I know how you are, old man.
I didn't say that, but I am stepping down when we get back. You'll have to tell Ravenous, you understand. Go around.
I will arm wrestle you for that. I will lose, but I will arm wrestle you for it nonetheless.
I don't have
make
anything
your
else
way
for
back.
that morning. The only thing Goldbrand wants to do is keep an eye out for Bergen until they go to their
Okay.
meeting.
You all get back to the Flag and Dragon, and Bergen does not arrive before it is time to depart. Anything else before we depart for Castle Waterdeep? Okay.
What does Pandora look like now? She's looking different.
we
Oh,
need
she
to
attuned the mask. That is correct.
Do
Yeah.
we need to
So,
disguise some fuckers?
a scaly and a furry have fused. And you both know that you can detract the mask. You don't have to stay in the dragon form, as it were. And in fact, Barbara, do you choose to? Well, let's describe it first. And as an artist, feel free to help me fill in some gaps here. I'm thinking, the cheekbones and eyes are where the scales come in the strongest, and she still has her striking eyes that are framed by the green scales. There's almost like a series of small ridges of green spines that flow through her fur, which is not detracted fully. I imagine it's almost like you're wearing, it's almost like werewolf makeup from like the older movies where there's still like skin. That's scales, and then where there is fur and that kind of werewolf, there is fur. What are you thinking, Barb?
Yeah, I would think like oh yeah. I would think that like the tufts of her ears are sharper too.
Ooh, yeah.
Things like her fur definitely like around the cheekbones would come out into like the dragon, like where they kind of get like the fin spikiness. And her spots would probably glow that kind of I think about our rooster, how he looks kind of black, but he's got like that green overshine,
Yeah.
like when it catches the light. So I would think that now her spots would do the same as well.
Very nice. Dragon cat. Yeah, I think there's also this. You talked about your ears getting sharper, and I think, have you ever seen like it's not a piercing, I guess. I guess it is a piercing, like the ear with a little bit of armor on it. I think you'd have a similar effect with dark thick scales as they sort of frame up this ridge where it would be like the spine and like a fin. You still have the ear is normal, but that part is sort of elongated and pointed a bit. Um, her eyes almost seem just a little more slitted, like a little more serpentine and less cat-like. But, Barbara, this is an effect that you can choose to have dormant. The visualization is not permanent. So if you want, this can manifest itself in a smaller capacity. Is that something you'd be interested in? Or do you want to be on display?
I mean, I can be a feral animal, it's fine.
Yeah. What else is new? Yeah, I would say, Archinox being a worm speaker is not as dramatic a change as Pandora being a worm speaker. And I think you guys do notice some extra attention as you make your way through the streets. But no one impedes you on your journey. As we approach Castle Waterdeep, a couple of different things happen. I'm going to shift maps real quick. This is actually your first time coming to Castle Waterdeep. You've been to Daggerford and Secumber's castles, but this one is new. You've been to the city many times, and it's almost weird to see how the other half lives in a way. The areas of Waterdeep that y'all typically traffic are not very wealthy areas, and to see the disparity of wealth here is almost absurdist. Like you're seeing like gilded furniture and fancy crystal chandeliers and stained glass in every room. And I think there's a part of you that the opulence of it, you as lords, you collectively as lords, were much less flamboyant about it, I guess. But this is like, it's like the difference between old money and new money. Y'all were new money, and this is very much old money. Some of these artifacts are older than all of you. I love that. Is that its tooth, or am I just like, hi?
What?
Oh, they have like catfish whisker. They have like catfish whisker kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
At first I thought it was holding a bone, and then I thought, is that a
Yeah.
spike?
I've
No,
seen
that's
them
the-
before, and I
that's
thought it
the
was holding a
whisker.
boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the squirrels are cool.
That is pretty badass, though. I see what you're talking about as far as like the crest almost.
Yeah, and they've got like the kind of scaly like legs, even though they're
Yeah.
furred creatures.
They're a lot
I
like
think you would-
displacer beasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you do pick up a similar feature as far as your feet go, because you are barefoot. Yeah, you don't wear boots, do you?
No, I don't think I do.
Okay, so you have a similar thing where you also have like your thin little retractable cat claws are still retractable, but are much more like think T-Rex or Raptor-esque, with your double jointed weird little fucking legs. Very spooky. As you make your way toward the castle, I think the first thing you guys pick up on is the heavy, heavy presence of guards. And of all different banners, too. You see soldiers from the Lord's Alliance, which isn't necessarily unexpected, but you also are happy to see members of the Order of the Gauntlet. And you see Harpers and members of the Emerald Enclave. You even see some of the Knights of the Order of the Aster. So you feel reassured that it seems so many have taken this meeting very seriously. And as you enter the Grand Hall, you're surprised to see so many familiar faces. More than you were expecting, even. As you first come in, you see to the left, but your character's right, quite a few of the dragons. You see Hecaton and his daughter Sarissa, as well as your good friend Harshnag, who, it's funny, you walk in and he's almost at eye level with you because he's on the lower level and y'all are on the balcony of the entrance. So he's almost like eye level, and it's like, oh. You just see the surprise on his face. It is good to see you again, Lords of Nightstone. I hope you have been well.
Doing our best to be.
Yeah, well as we can.
You see,
I've never been better.
You might not be lying.
He kind of looks like shit, but that is all right. If it's better for, in fact, I think actually he'll lean over to Hecaton later, who the fuck was that? Because he doesn't know you all. You haven't met him since you've been reincarnated.
I mumbled to myself, I'm like, you should have seen the other guy. It was me. I was the other guy.
Oh, are there two of you? Are you walking around with your simulacrum?
Oh man, we're handcuffed to each other now. He's he's essentially a party member until something happens to him.
I love that. That is very funny. Okay, that's good to know. You also see Zephyros, the cloud giant who originally helped you guys get to Golden Fields some 8 years ago now, is eagerly there. You see Davos sees his father and makes a mental note, gotta talk to Dad later about some stuff I learned about our family history, and puts that in a neat little box. You also do see Bergen, fully clad in his Vindicator mail, representing the Order of the Gauntlet. And you're surprised to not only see Sidiri, but also Daphne and Rond. There's a conversation to be had later there, but it's obviously in your absence, Daphne has been sort of a steward of the castle and handling things such as this when they arise. I think Tabitha would recognize at least one of the dwarves, Orin. As well, you all would recognize Edmund from Gauntlgrim, who is one of the dwarves that you guys freed. I forget if it was from the Zentarum or the Fire Giants, but familiar faces. You see representatives of the Harpers, as well as several from the Lord's Alliance, including Zane, who you know is a captain of their aerial cavalry. You also see Turlang, the big tree motherfucker, this Trent that y'all met at Shadowtop Cathedral, and Thara, who seems to be a gilded member of the Emerald Enclave. You do see a surprising number of Uthgard. And you're kind of curious how they all managed to gather up so quickly. But Revna, I imagine in the mingling before all this starts, Revna explains, your friends there is he's very talented. The blue one, he goes bloop 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 bloop, and before I know it, we have a chief from almost every tribe. It's crazy. All I had to do is say, yeah, they're probably around here at this time of year, and boom, very talented. Also,
the blue horned ones.
Yes, the blue ones. Yes.
Very talented. You have no ideas. Gorman's not willing to tell her that she's an actual fucking dragon.
Yeah, she goes. She is a little bit scary, but not too bad. I think I could take her, but
Do
I would
not.
not want to try.
That the whole tribe only kind of fight.
She says, you telling me no only makes me want to do it some more, if I'm being honest.
It's your funerals.
You got to have one sooner or later. That's what I keep telling you, remember?
Speaking of which, I'm resigning as Storekeepers today. So Gideon is prepared.
Her eyes go a little wide, but she goes, oh. Well, that is good to know. I'm happy for his advancement and pleased that you have served your tribe so well for so long. Thank you.
If you have any reservations, you can speak with your Storekeepers. Gideon's come here! And then Goldbrand will move along.
You do also see Barbara, your sister Avalon, is here with Mr. Boots and a few representatives from Skullport. While Skullport is a pirate city and inherently not at war with, but aligned against Waterdeep, it seems that times are so desperate they're willing to put all of that on the back burner. We'll handle that after we stop the end of the world. And she is very happily present. Arcanox, you spot Captain Dynamite, Kyrex, and a few members of the Crimson Inferno who are likewise present, seemingly here for whatever use they can be. The next few faces, some of them are familiar, some of them are not. You do all spot Belgalis, which I have a new art token for him, but same concept. Willem Dafoe looking motherfucker. Who is very happy to see you all and grins eagerly. And the three that are with him, Arcanox, you recognize Nissa, the Crystal Dragonborn, who was the medic on the Westwind Wyvern, and she greets you all warmly. But Barbara, there's one of them who kind of cocks her head to you and goes, well, I hope you've been keeping up the good work. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? That joke never gets old.
Over in the background.
Oh no, Barbara is dead. I see her lighting up, but I don't hear her. Yeah.
Would I recognize this person? Never.
You don't initially. You look at her, and she's an elven woman, attractive, looks a little older, which is odd for elven people, so she would have to be quite older. White hair, purple robes. But there's something about the glint of her eye, and you've never met her in this form, but this is hot stuff. This is Vala Fiandra in her human guise. She smiles when she sees the look of recognition on you, and says, well, don't be so surprised. You have had quite the dramatic change as well. And it sort of looks over your new draconic cat form.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice, huh?
Yeah. She goes, I mean, skills.
You have advantage on charisma checks against dragons, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, make a persuasion check with advantage.
Yeah, I was gonna ask her for a drink later.
Oh, God.
Right
also.
here in front of Mr. Boots and everything.
He
it. Knows. He knows how
Yeah, he's progressive.
it is.
Oh, Barb, your mic is killing me, dog.
He's like, hey, I'm with a woman who's hooking up with the dragon. I mean, shit. Like, that's pretty intense.
I mean, her last boyfriend wasn't literally a dragon, so, I guess I can't be surprised. She has a type, Barbara, make a persuasion check with advantage for me.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's see how persuasive you are. Ooh. Okay, there you go. I was about to say 20 is good, but not great. But 28, yeah. She cocks a smile a bit and she goes, "A drink later sounds lovely. And please do take me up on that. I have something else I wish to speak with you about.
Oh, boy.
At the very end of the chamber, you see seated some dozen or so lords of various cities. Some of these you know, like Lord Succumber, who obviously led the city of Succumber, where the final battle was held last campaign. Your good friend Tabitha, representing Waterdeep. Lady Daggerford, not the succubus Lady Daggerford that you killed in Daggerford's ballroom, but the actual one. And several that you do not recognize or have only met in passing. Safine will sort of call out, all right, everyone, we need to plan the best course of action. But to do that, we need all the information. The Cult of the Dragon is attempting to bring back Tiamat, as they have been since their inception, but this is the closest that they've ever come. We are talking an imminent threat of her re-entering the material plane. And if that happens, there will be nothing left. We have to act quick, we have to be careful, and we have to do it together. She is gathering every draconic force on this continent. Anything less than the full support of everyone in this room will mean extinction. The ritual that is done, I believe our good friends, the Lords of Nightstone, can shed some light on. And she gestures for you all to join her. I think the first question, and this is sort of a pop quiz of sorts. The first questions one of the lords asks is, what is necessary for this ritual? What is needed for it to be successful?
Expedience sake, we can have Davos explain it if he has to, but surely Safine or several others know that answer.
Well, not necessarily. Y'all haven't, you know that there are certain elements that they need for the ritual to be completed. I'm going to see if you know any before rolling history check to see if you do have those answers.
Devin remembers some. I remember some. Davos will tell them they need a large sum of gold, and it is helpful for them to have all of the dragon masks. There's a third one that I'm forgetting. Anybody else?
So which I guess
I can find it. I had
would
session
be a good
notes.
Time to mention the mimic coin. You know.
Oh,
she's right.
Because they think we think
bro.
that that's part of something they're doing. All right.
Put him in the circulation.
And don't speak with Davos, by the way, Devin. Speak with Goldbrand. You're here. You're queer. Get used to it.
I mean, Goldbrand understands the situation. He's just, why would the dude with the heavy accent address the whole room?
All I remember was the mask. Sorry, not helpful.
They need a large sum of golds. They also need the more of these artifacts that they have. The easier it is to bring Tiamat back. We currently control 2 of them. I believe they have 3s.
Do we know the 3?
The blue mask.
Their
the
identities.
black mask. Oh God. I believe we know
one of
one. Yeah, he looks at Ark.
Wait, do we know the name of the guy with the red mask? We just fought him. I feel like we know his
Oh
name.
yeah, we do. So we know
yeah.
2 of them. Duke Enmity has the first mask of the first layer of hell. They're layers? Or am I confused? Avernus. Duke Enmity of Avernus has the red mask.
You see a rustle of whispers, particularly among the section of the room that is Order of the Aster and Order of the Gauntlet, as they sort of there seems to be a little stir of activity over there. I think Arambor will speak up. Or no, Bergen's here. He'll say, Enmity is a extremely powerful fiend from the first layer. He's not one to be taken lightly. That's a very serious threat.
You're telling us.
I did not understand that, Barb. I'm sorry. You're cutting in and
Oh,
out
no.
my head.
I was just saying, you're.
She was agreeing. She
Yeah.
said, "You're telling us."
Us.
Dude kicked our butts.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing our best.
He says, if he's involved with this process at all, that means there will be fiendish support. We'll need to take that into consideration.
It happens that I
it's-
have an expert on fiends right here.
One of the lords asks, all right, so one of the worm speakers, you called them? One of the worm speakers is Duke Enmity. Who are the other two?
We don't know who has the blue masks. Ark is familiar with the black worm speaker. Dragon culture
Archinox, but-
tongues?
Archinox.
Yeah, the black worm speaker.
Yeah, they're just sort of asking, like, who the fuck are these people? Like, this is
Oh,
basically
yeah.
intel dump.
The black worm speaker. He's a once thought dead dread pirate lord who was executed and thrown off the bow and seems to have returned as the champion Tiamat. What we gather, he is the black worm speaker.
You relay this information and a description of the two worm speakers, and just it seems that everyone is taking this very seriously, but there's you're not sensing a full commitment yet. I know that's an odd thing to say, but it'll make sense in a second. The third worm speakers, what do we know of them? And she looks at Ark and Pandora. The blue, I gather?
Besides fighting with, besides our encounter with him previously, we don't really know much else.
I think we know that he's a paladin, or we theorize that was a paladin in a life, based on some of
Yeah.
the things he could do.
You also had a moniker for him. Not a nickname, but a title, I guess, for lack of a better word.
The madman?
The Madman. And when you say this, it does trigger some recognition from a few different people in the room. In fact, the Lord's Alliance, Zane, will stand up and say, the Madman has been a force of much conflict for the last several decades. He has been a pain in our side. He's very elusive, very slippery. And
Yeah, we found that out.
And from what we can gather, seems to have a method of interplanar travel that is unlike any we have been capable of replicating. He sort of makes a bit of eye contact. You said that you fought with him, yes?
Yeah, we almost killed him.
He cocks his head. That's good to know. We'll speak more on tactics after this. But it seems like he has had some experience fighting this individual in the past.
Okay.
You've identified the three worm speakers. You've told them about the horde. Barbara mentioned the coin, which I think stirs up quite a bit of discussion among the entire room. I think Edmund, the dwarf, will speak up and say, "We are aware of several thousand gold pieces missing from throughout dwarven keeps. I believe that this might be a part. How are they gathering this coin in mass?"
Kill him, Pandora.
I mean, little mimic coins.
Eh.
We don't really know much more other than.
I think you would know, Barbara, that you have one on you. You have one in a little glass
A
bottle
jar.
that you guys kept.
Than
And
that.
I think upon realizing that
we did.
point, you pull it out of the bag and hold it up. And I even think maybe to prove a point, drop a gold coin in there and watch the coin split and snap. You hear several people it seems that there were, mass conspiracies of theft and of money, not money laundering, but just mass financial crimes that have been answered in this instant. And they make plans to thoroughly vet the source of coin and the circulation of coin throughout their respective territories.
The
So you
third thing
mentioned-
that they need to summon Tiamat is sacrifices to weaken the
Absolutely.
veil.
Good job, Green.
I had to look through 5 or 6 pages of session notes to figure out which page that was on.
And
And for those who have never seen them, a page is dense.
Yeah. I think Avalon will speak up like, yes, many of the citizens of Skullport were nearly taken in an effort to become sacrifices for this ritual. Thankfully, the Lords of Nightstone were able to thwart them before they were teleported away. I do know that the slavers of Menzo Bernanzin are cooperating with this and might be responsible for a number of these slaves. A few of the other lords speak of disappearances and a spike in what they believe to be human trafficking that now seems to have a source. There's even talk of the admiral of the Lord's Alliance says that they've had white dragons lift off with entire ships full of people, like abducting people in large sums very quickly, and a spike in activity in the last 2 to 3 weeks. You did correctly explain the 3 components of what is required for this ritual. As you describe this, Safine will speak a little bit about the location of the well of all of this. The Well of Dragons. The Well of Dragons is the home to Tiamat's temple, located in the southeast, a little further beyond Everaska. And Lady Everaska will speak up. Yes, we do believe that this is part of the reason that our town was destroyed first. The forces have been gathering in that area for weeks now, but as of late it has become increasingly hazardous. We had to do a full evacuation some 2 weeks ago. You hear tales of various attacks from dragons across numerous cities. Red dragons coming in, blazing the tallest buildings and fleeing. White dragons bursting from the sea and freezing the entire docks. And just the havoc that they have been causing on every front. The Lady of Everaska also talks of there was a large section of undead that were migrating south, and then some 2 or 3 days ago halted in their tracks and collapsed. We thought that this a good omen, but before we fled, we saw that there were some that were beginning to rise again. We think that whatever was weaponizing the undead has been stopped, but there may be something else that is trying to utilize and pick up where the other one stopped. Would appear that there seems to be another necromantic entity in the cult of the dragon that may be doing some heavy lifting. Safine tells them that this is a matter of haste. We have to act quickly. I think that we can, through various means, mobilize the entirety of our forces as quickly as possible. I would like to have our forces gathered in no more than 3 days. 2 particular lords on the far right here, Aresame and Tyranny, will say, you want us to gather our armies, our gods, and leave our cities unprotected? Right now, when we're having a spike of attacks? To do so would leave our citizens vulnerable.
Not do so means your cities will be marched upon by armies of demons and dragons, and possibly the god of dragons herself.
And
I
when our
believe this
soldiers
is
were
a time to squash the threat before it comes. Because once it gets here, you won't be able to stop it anyways.
She goes, so either have all of our people die fighting the Dragon Queen, or have them all come home to their families slaughtered in their home. not much of a choice, if you ask me. And her cohort. In addition, we do have a particular concern. The dragons that have been summoned. We are aware of several within our territory that have been relocated, but one in particular has not mobilized. Well, we are not certain as to why he is not answering the call, but we fear that it may be because he is waiting for us to abandon the city to claim whatever he can for his own. I think that Nissa, the white dragonborn crystal dragon, will say, Old Snarl is stubborn. He may not be fully convinced that this attempt is worth his time. The Cult of the Dragon has tried several times to bring Tiamat back. He may think it's unworthy of his presence. Even still, there's always the chance that he could not want her back. I mean, as of now, he is the largest dragon in the material plane, in a position of immense power. If Tiamat comes, he comes from being top dog to second in command. I don't know if that's a sacrifice he would be willing to make. Another member, I believe, Belgalis will say, Are you saying that he could be against Tiamat? Could we weaponize that? Could we persuade him to help stop her from coming? Nissa will roll her shoulders.
Out of my mouth.
Nissa will roll her shoulders and shake her head. That is unprecedented. To act against the Dragon Queen is a risk. To just not assist could be overlooked, but outward assault against her? I don't know if he would be willing to make that kind of risk. Perhaps it's worth a look then. If we can try to persuade him, that would be an enormous ally, something that could even the scales a bit.
Scales cut him.
Safine will say, well, I'm afraid someone would have to be awfully persuasive with the draconic mind to get this done, and sort of gives a look over to Archinox and to Pandora with their new dragon masks.
Consider it done.
If you can do that, she turns to everyone and says, the gathering dragons are not the only ones we need to worry about. The worm speakers each have in their possession a powerful draconic aid. One-of-a-kind dragons with exemplary skill. And if what I heard last night is true, we're going to need the bigger the better. He didn't mention it explicitly, but I imagine it would happen in conversation that you would mention Rancor being Duke Enmity's particular dragon. And I think all of you have an understanding of if you can get one of those on your side, even if the only thing it does is keep that dragon busy, that increases your chances of success exponentially. But there is the chance that if you fail to persuade Gloth, you'll be getting into some trouble right before. High risk, but very high
reward.
The Lords of Silvery Moon sort of give each other a side eye and say, if Clouth is dealt with, then you will have our aid. But anything less, we will not put our people at risk. We can at least give them a chance to protect their families rather than letting them or their families pass. If you can get this done, we will be there.
Weenies.
The general murmur around the chamber spikes a bit. There is something else I want to do, but I want to wait until Davos is here. Safine will say to the gathered parties, all right, everyone mobilize your troops. Those of you who are furthest away, come speak with me. We'll try to get gates set up and get a way to get you there as quick as possible. Lord's Alliance, we want everyone mobilized in there, particularly on the north end, but we should probably flank from the west and the east as well. Zane, I want maps drawn up so we can look at this tactically. And Zane nods, and before long, the chamber breaks down into smaller groups as these factions talk about their plans and how to accomplish them. There are a couple of people who do wish to speak with you. 2 of these I'm going to put off until next week when Davos can be with us. But Hot Stuff, in particular, tracks you down, Barbara.
Yeah.
And goes, I understand that you were, that you had asked for my help before. I'm sorry that I couldn't be present. There's been some interesting going-ons in our circles, as it were. And thankfully, we've got those managed, but my attention was needed elsewhere.
Would those happenings happen to be related to what's going on now?
She says, we really hope not. She sort of looks over and, as she is a psionic dragon, resumes this conversation telepathically. She says, the obsidian dragon egg has been especially active lately. And when the drac horn sounded, it hatched. We're not...
Oh.
We have him, wormling that he is, in our control and in our protection. But that is a deeply unsettling thought, that if she returns and we're able to turn him, the balance that we've worked so hard in restoring will be lost entirely.
Yeah, that's not good.
I'm glad to hear that you managed to keep Skullport safe, though. It's important for all of us to have
Yeah,
our
you know
layers.
me. Tough cat, all that.
And more, it would seem, as she looks over your scales.
Wink on her.
She checked out you. As it has had a dramatic transformation and even more embedded with her amethyst. And she goes, well, see, even if I don't always pick up the line, I'm here with you in spirit. And
Always, baby.
if nothing else, I do owe you. And you see in her hair, there's it almost looks like a hair clip, an amethyst gem that keeps part of her hair tucked back out of her face. And she removes it and places it on your chest as if a brooch.
Ooh.
I need to make this item card, but you feel a little lighter on your feet. In fact, you begin to drift up for a second before you sort of steady yourself. You have flown before, but this is unprompted. It was effortless, as it were. This is going to have a couple of other perks, but we'll leave. We'll just say that for now. She goes, can't have my champion go around without a little bit of bling repping me, now can I?
You know I'm always repping you, baby.
She goes, and I like the look, but I don't know if green's your color. Maybe white? Oh, red would be quite dramatic. We'll play colors next time.
I desperately
goes
need an
rogue.
amethyst dragon mask.
For real though?
The as this chamber is sort of filtering out, I think that Zane approaches you all and goes, if I might have a moment of your time, lords, it would be appreciated. The madman, he is not... How do I say this without sounding absolutely fucking crazy? He's not of this world. I don't know if that makes sense, but he is not from another plane, but from a mirror of this world, where things are similar, but not quite. I've had a run-in with him previously. He slaughtered my adventuring party. Where it gets a little tricky is that he was one of us. An ally of mine, Dimitri, looked exactly like him. And it is as if he is hunting down other versions of himself and acquiring their abilities. I don't know exactly how or why he is going from realm to realm, but he's tricky, and you need to be careful. If you have ways to ward against teleportation wherever you stay, I would highly recommend it. If nothing else, you should expect the unexpected with him. He's bound the same realities that we are. I feel like
Sorry,
Darren wants to say something, but
I'm just processing. So did I understand that correctly? You said that he's stealing abilities from other versions of himself, which means he can do a lot of shit. Like that's part of the explanation for like why he's able to blip in and out through those portals and stuff.
yes, it seems like he is. So we had, for example, a version of Jordana come and visit us in this campaign. Think of it like multiverse theory. He is a Dimitri hunting down other Dimitris and absorbing their powers. So yes, he is not quite a... I don't know how to say too much without being... without giving anything away, but capable of much more than a normal character would be.
Of that class would be. Okay. Yeah. Oh boy. Does he bleed? Oh, we already know that.
Yeah, let's say
Yeah. The good news is he bleeds, which means we can kill him, regardless of how many other hims he has killed.
That was good. If you can't get him, just save him for me, maybe. I've got about a 30-year grudge that I would love to get off my shoulders.
Scorpion shrugs. Depends on where you're at while we're killing him.
Right place, right time.
Mm-hmm.
The other two things that I want to talk about, I want Davos here for. So I will ask any of you if you have any anyone you would like to speak to before this chamber disseminates and goes about the world.
I didn't see, because I wondered if there would be representatives from like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter here.
There is a Lord Neverwinter who is over here. There would be a representative from Baldur's Gate. I just sort of ran out of room. But yeah, there are pretty much every major city on the Sword Coast has someone here, even if it's not their, lord.
Sick. I think the only thing Goldburn would want to do is probably outside of this little conclave. He will go to Bergen.
Mm.
Vindicators, after this is over, if you have some time to spare, I could use your assistance.
He goes, of course, buddy. Anything for you. I mean, what do you need?
I need to regrow some limbs.
He goes,
Only a handful, I think.
yeah, that's fun. Okay, yeah. What are you? He looks around. He first looks you up and down. He goes, what do you miss? Oh no, it's not.
Ah!
It's not little Goldbrand, is it?
It doesn't work anymore, anyways. If we're being honest, we need to.
I've got a tincture for that. Davos gets it from me twice a month. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Goldbrand makes like a boomer face, like doesn't want to take medicine, like thinks that's not cool to take medicine. Do what the doctor says. Makes a boomer face. He says,
"This is fun medicine, though. Trust me.
We need to regrow Tabitha's arms and Tajine's wings, and a third one, Vulcan's arm, if we can. I can do it once per day."
He thinks about it. He goes, I can use the city circles. I could do that twice.
When you have times after this, if you would please. It's good to see you again.
And you as well. You taking care? I heard about Pydia, and I just wanted to say I'm really sorry to hear that. It's rough, buddy.
She died as an Uthgarth should die. Can't ask for much more.
Kicking ass, taking names?
Mostly kicking my ass, but close enough.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I remember when we went to Deadstone Cleft, and she was just putting you to fucking shame, dude. Like, she was taking down motherfuckers left and right. He wouldn't say motherfuckers. Just taking down...
Motherfuckers?
He might say bitches. Just taking down... Or no. I don't know. Just taking down giants left and right, man. Like, I mean, she put in the work. You lost a good one, but I'm glad she went down the way she wanted to. I kind of expected. I was surprised I didn't get a call after I heard about it, actually. But if it's, we all have our time.
Oh, believe me, I tried. More than once. I think she was ready to be passed on.
Look like you're getting there yourself, big guy.
If the world will stop having crises, I would get there faster.
Sometimes I feel like the crises are going to drive me into the grave faster. And you see, he obviously, Bergen, red hair, but just streaked with gray. And you've noticed a little more here and there, but it feels like every time you see him, there's like a noticeable amount of more gray.
He is
goes,
Faerun's best cleric.
And they don't stop coming.
Yeah, that's a stressful position. Faerun's best clerik.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, when you ask him about the regenerate, it's such like a normal thing for him. Like, yeah, I bring back, several people a day and regenerate limbs, frequently. He does. I say probably maybe not in the main chamber, but yeah, there's somewhere in a side room. Tabitha, being a lord, would be able to guide you guys somewhere. And for Tabitha, it is simple. Bergen takes her by the shoulders and runs a hand down one arm and mirrors the movement with his other hand until he comes to grasp her hand. And he says a prayer. And the gemstone on the back of his gauntlet glows before you watch as Tabitha's sort of dark ASMR energy that you have once before seen manifest as an arm appears. And then it's sort of washed over with this golden light. And as it does, it manifests as a real physical arm. And Tabitha looks down at both hands and is overjoyed. She thanks Bergen and you for suggesting it dozens of times. And when she leaves, she has an arm over each of the Yuans.
Oh. Oh my.
Fantastic.
Goldbrand tries not to.
he says.
Yeah, Goldbrand tries not to smirk, and I think he wants to try to do Tajin, because I have a thought for this. He'll like walk up to him and activate his dragon form, which makes constellation wings. So I like to think he walks up to him and like flexes the wings out, and the stars that make up the constellation float back over behind Tajin and like gather up around him in the same way they would have been around Goldbrand. And then Goldbrand has to like grab him by the shoulders like he saw Bergen do, and then he he fills them in with starlight to sort of begin to regen them. Assuming you'll allow both wings for one limb.
You go through the spell, perfectly mimicking what you have just said, drawing the starlight in to be the exact shape and form that it needs to be. But when you try to draw from the body, you find that it will not yield to you. You are not at where Bergen was able to materialize the flesh. You're not able to pull that from this. Make a medicine check with advantage.
I gotta find medicine. Bam. Wow, 2 9s, which is 2 4s. Oh my.
Bergen's gonna come at you with the medicine check. 27. That a boy. Give me 1 second. Okay. Bergen is able to discern. He looks closely at the wounds that seem almost cauterized. And he says, "Oh, no, that's I've seen this before. This is either a cursed artifact or something specifically made for this type of dismemberment. This is I don't think anything short of, warping reality is going to be able to bring this back. I'm sorry, Tajin." And Tajin nods his head and goes, "No, it is the price I pay for doing my best to uphold what Baphomet must will. I appreciate your efforts, Starkeeper. Thank you." And the spell is unsuccessful on Tajin.
Unfortunately, I can't do that again, so Bergen will have to take care of Vulcan.
Yeah. Bergen will go through the same process he did with Tabitha, tracing his hands over one arm and mimicking it with the other. For Vulcan, it's instead of the ethereal energy of Tabitha's spirit that made shape, it was almost as if embers just swirling in this space where the arm should be, before growing and filling out and becoming once again a full arm. He is likewise very grateful. And I think he rushes over to Kyrax and Dynamite and the crew, who saw him come in with one arm, and he's now like, "Look what I got!" and is very much happy. Fantastic. Anything else before this council is dismissed? Three, two, one. All right. We will resume here next week. We will run the last 2 of these scenes with Davos. Until then, please take care of yourselves. Be good to one another. Happy New Year, and keep rolling.
And like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe!